Hello. Okay, so we're starting. I don't think I need to introduce what we're doing here. I think you know all of the presenters. Today we're going to hear from Kris from Spark, from Pawel from Chronicle, and from Bartek from Stake Finance. Is that it? Because it's new, right? Okay. No, okay. Sorry. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the maker and then Sky and what happened. And I don't need to do a lot of more intros. You know what we're doing here. Please make sure you get one of those. They grant you beers at the bar. So just come find me. And Kris, you're up first.
Yatsik. Okay. Hi guys. I'm Kris. Oh, do I have a ticker or something like this? Okay. I'm gonna watch out for this. Okay. Okay. So I'm Kris. I'm one of the co-founders at Phoenix Labs, which is the main contributor to Spark, which is a sub-DAO for the Sky ecosystem. I promise. In a second, these random names are gonna make a little bit more sense to you. Today I'm going to talk about stablecoins, but before I do that, I want to start with a little bit of tangent and ask you, what's the worst idea that you've seen built on blockchain? Like, my favorite one is a Denta coin. It was a blockchain for dentists. Yeah. Why would blockchain? Why would dentists need a blockchain? Don't know, don't care. Apparently they don't need it because the token is now like worth zero. But there were people building it. There were people like speculating, investing, whatever. Do you have some examples of other shitty things built on top of blockchain? No, not this one. Anyone else? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But there are some crazy ideas being built on blockchain, and always building like financial related stuff resonated with me. Like it's a thing that kind of makes sense to build on the top of the blockchain. Like after all, Bitcoin is a financial product, right? And it's like the original thing built on top of blockchain, right? And if you're following any news related to crypto or tech in general, like every other day now, there's a news about someone building a stablecoin or someone using a stablecoin to do something. Like even yesterday, Stripe announced that they built some, first-class support for stablecoins, and this screams like strong product market fit to me. Yes, I wanted to mention kind of that there's a lot of things being built on top of blockchain, but there are also things that are really, really like having this escape velocity, and stablecoins are definitely one of them. So what are the stablecoins exactly? So stablecoins, you can think about stablecoin as a cryptocurrency that tracks a value of some other asset. Most likely it's US dollar, but it could be any other fiat currency like euro or gold, or even like an abstract concept like a leverage need on the market. But the basic idea is that they combine the advantages of cryptocurrencies like technical superiority with some stability coming from fiat currencies like US dollar, like stability if you believe in fiat money, right? Yes, we're gonna talk about how they work exactly, how they maintain this value in a second. But before that, let's talk a little bit more about use cases. So the main use cases are right now payments, and you can already companies use stablecoins as to avoid cross-border fiat transfers, which are expensive, and so even today, like on layer one, like Ethereum transfers are cheaper than doing like cross-border transfers in the bank. Micropayments, so paying with a stablecoin for your coffee, it's actually something that you can do right now. You just order Gnosis Pay. It's not built on Ethereum decentralized blockchain. It's built on the sidechain, but the idea still holds. You can get Gnosis Pay card, and I did that. I went to Żabka and I bought a beer with Gnosis Pay card, and what happened is that it triggered on-chain transaction that moved some money from my chain, from my Gnosis safe. There was an allowance first that I gave to Visa card processor, and it happened like on the blockchain, right? With just a swipe of card. Like, it's amazing. It is already happening. If you're in crypto space, probably you use stablecoins for on and off ramps. Like, instead of going to centralized exchange, you just sell to USDC. And apparently in Poland, like, even it's not a taxable event, probably. Not a tax advice, definitely not a tax advice. And since stablecoins are just programs, they're like programmable. You can build like different financial primitives, and this is what decentralized finance, DeFi, is all about. And now let's get into the weeds, how actually the stablecoins maintain their value. So there are a couple of different types of stablecoins. The most popular ones are called fiat stablecoin or stablecoins or peg stablecoins. And the idea here is very simple. Imagine that I have $1,000 in a bank, and I decide to create a 1,000 Kaczor coins on the blockchain. And I also hire some kind of auditor to make an audit that, yes, I have $1,000 in the bank and I created only 1,000 tokens on the blockchain. And I can also hire some market makers or basically open some arbitrage loops. Like, for example, you send me money in the bank, I mint you stablecoin, and the other way around. So you send me stablecoin, then I send you back the money in the bank. And this way we create a very simple stablecoin that basically it works. Like, there is not a good reason why it shouldn't work, why it shouldn't maintain the value. The only problem is that it's not trusted, right? You need to believe me that I'm not gonna run away with the money in the bank, that there's the money in the bank in the first place. But also you need to believe me that I'm not gonna mint billions of dollars of cryptocurrency of the stablecoin in a single transaction and steal all the money in the DeFi ecosystem in one go. Like, it could happen in a single transaction, right? So there's like this inherent trust that you need to put into the issuer of this stablecoin. And the biggest stablecoins these days, like Tether at 150 billion, they work exactly in this way. The same with Circle USDC at 60 billion. The more interesting design is our crypto stablecoins. So here the idea is that you can collateralize your stablecoin with a volatile asset like Bitcoin, Ether, some cryptocurrency, as long as it's over collateralized position. So you can imagine that you have one Bitcoin worth exactly $100,000, and this is exactly the price that Bitcoin just reached again. And you mint 50,000 stablecoin, let's say, DAI against this debt, against this collateral. Your collateral gets locked in the system, but you can do with your debt, with the stablecoin, whatever you want, right? So what happens if the Bitcoin price increases twice, let's say? This means that you need to sell a much smaller portion of the Bitcoin to cover your debt and unlock the stablecoin, right? And unlock your collateral again. So this way, you just went long on the asset in a decentralized manner. Also, with the stablecoin, you could buy even more Bitcoin, and this way you get leverage on your Bitcoin. And this is basically the main reason why anyone would do that, right? And of course, there's this other situation when Bitcoin price goes down instead of up, and then the system basically tracks the value of your position and automatically can sell your Bitcoin before the whole position gets under collateralized. And this design basically works. This is something that MakerDAO, the previous name for Sky, pioneered years ago. And systems like this, manage to survive collateral collapses like of 30% of value of the collateral in 1 or 2 hours. Like this happened to ETH. These days, these systems are mostly not only crypto collaterals, but they are collateralized by some other collaterals as well. Like it's a mix of different collaterals. They could be stablecoins, there could be reward assets, basically anything that is like tokenized on-chain. And the main example here is USDS, so Sky USDS, or previously known as DAI, sitting at 8 billion market cap. And then there's my favorite, algorithmic stablecoins. So in these kind of systems, there is no collateral. Like the collateral is replaced with some, smart algorithm that tries to keep the value of the stablecoin at $1. And spoiler alert, this design doesn't work. There were like multiple, attempts to create some algorithmic stablecoins, but after all, they all collapsed sooner or later. The recent example was Terra Luna UST that was already mentioned. It got up to $20 billion before collapsing to almost zero. And actually, Sky MakerDAO folks were warning everybody about this design because we researched it years ago and we knew that it doesn't work. But of course, no one listened to us. And I mentioned that the stablecoins that work tend to have some kind of collateral, right? And this collateral can basically earn some revenue for the protocol. So in case of even fiat stablecoins, you have cash in the bank, right? Instead of just having cash in the bank, you can hold a cash equivalent in the cash equivalents like treasuries or bonds and etc. So basically, right now, just with all the supply of your stablecoin can earn you like 4.5% or something like that, maybe more closer to 4. And spoiler alert: the company that I mentioned previously, Tether, the minter of USDT, is apparently the most profitable company that ever existed, if you count the number of the amount of revenue per person, per employee. So it's a pretty good business when you don't need to share the yield with anyone. But turns out that to build a bit better product, you can actually share this yield with the users of the stablecoin. And this is the idea of yield-bearing stablecoins. And here, the biggest stablecoin, the yield-bearing stablecoin is SUSDS, which is coming from Sky. And it earns and it yields 4.5%. So I really like this product because it's just like, the money in the bank that you would have, but it constantly earns you some revenue. There's also SUSDE from Ethina. Ethina does basically, it tries to monetize the need for leverage on centralized exchanges. It's called basis trade. Right now it yields around 4%. And then there's USDY from Ondo. It's basically tokenizing treasury yield, and so it's like 4 and something percent. Yeah. So now, as we go through like basics of stablecoins landscape, let's talk about Sky. So instead of giving you raw facts, I decided to give you some timeline. So the Sky project was born in 2014 as MakerDAO. In 2014, Ethereum didn't exist. There was no DeFi. No one, called it like this back then. And so basically, the initial thought was to build their own layer 1. It was supposed to be, something like Doge or one of these color coins, whatever. But luckily, 1 year later, Ethereum was born, and few years later, DAI, single collateral DAI, was deployed as a set of smart contracts on top of Ethereum. So again, in 2017, just to give you some idea of how many things Maker needed to create. Like there was no oracles, so Maker designed their oracle system. Pawel is going to talk about it a little bit later. There was no even a toolchain to develop smart contracts in the first place. So Maker developed something called DAppTools, which was later rewritten to Rust, and it's called Foundry right now, and it's like the way to develop smart contracts these days. There was also no DEXs, so Maker developed their own DEX, order book-based DEX called Oasis DEX, and I even had a chance to work on it. And single collateral DAI you could only mint with Ether. It was like the prototype of the system, and it reached $100 million pretty soon. And then 2 years later, the final development of the Maker system was deployed. It's called multi-collateral DAI, and it's actually the system that works till this day. It's very modular, so you can replace some parts of the system, but basically the main contract called VAT is still the same. And it grew up to $10 billion a few years later. Yeah, and 1 year ago, Maker got rebranded to Sky. That's why I'm like, using two terms at the same time. But yeah, Maker became Sky. The DAI became USDS, but since the contract is immutable, the DAI stablecoin still exists. And USDS is a separate contract, but there's like a redeemability one-to-one. You can upgrade and downgrade anytime you want. There are no fees. Basically, they are like exchangeable. And Maker token got replaced with Sky as a governance token. There was a token split, so it's like 1 to 24,000. But again, you can go back and forth if you want. I think the main reason for the rebrand was that, even though DAI and MakerDAO are like very recognizable brands within like the crypto ecosystem, the problem is that if you ask a normie to hold you their money in the currency called DAI, it doesn't sound that good. It doesn't sound like it was supposed to keep the price. So this was one of many reasons to do the rebrand, and it happened a year ago. So now we call it Sky. Yes, and this day the balance sheet is of around $11 billion. And let's talk a little bit about the assets that are part of the balance sheet. So as I mentioned, these kinds of stablecoins tend to be mix of different collaterals. So the main one is still crypto collateral, so things like Ether, things like Bitcoin, various staking derivatives of Ether, and so on. Then there are stablecoins. So right now it's around 33%. Basically, they are held in USDC. So this helps maintain the peg between dollar and USDS. But also, even the stablecoins earn like 3.5% to the Maker right now. The crypto collateral is more like 4 and 6, I think. And then there's a reward assets part, which I guess earns depending, on what you exactly invest in. But Bartek is gonna talk a little bit more about the reward assets soon. Yes. So the Sky governance token is a token that governs the whole Sky ecosystem. And as I mentioned, there's a revenue. So of course the token gets like the profit share. It's around 80 million per year right now. There's also it gives you ability to farm sub-DAO tokens. We're gonna talk about sub-DAOs in a second. It gives you voting rights, but also there's other end of the stick, which is in case of the Sky governance governing the protocol in the risky way, which leads to some kind of bad debt event when there are under collateralized positions in the system, when system wasn't able to sell the collateral quickly enough. the Sky token can be minted, and already existing holders can be, diluted. And now there's this thing called endgame plan, which is like this huge plan to basically set up Sky DAO for years to come. It has many different, areas, but one of the areas that we're interested in right now is the idea of creation of sub-DAOs, also called stars. Yes, very exciting. Yeah, so here, MakerDAO was well known to be one of these huge, slow to change, slow to act DAOs, and the idea is basically to create like this smaller, more focused, more startup-like sub-DAOs, and this is how we get to Spark, which is actually the very first Sky's sub-DAO. It's a DeFi-focused one, so we're doing like all the different things related to decentralized finance. And one of the first things that we did a few years ago was deployment of Sparkland. So this is Aave v3 fork, but it's focused on stablecoin borrowing. So this is the best place where you can borrow stablecoins at like, bigger scale, like millions of dollars in one go, and you have like the cheapest rates, and you have like, the biggest liquidity. And it's like sitting at 4 billion TVL these days. Another thing is that we spearheaded the savings SUSDS efforts. So you can go into our app and very easily go from USDC or soon some other stablecoins into this SUSDS product and start earning on your stablecoins. And this, I think we have like around 100, more than 100,000 active wallets using that, and there's a TVL of like almost 4 billion. Yes. And one of the things that excites me the most is the backend part of all of that. So it's called Spark Liquidity Layer, and it's a system that injects the liquidity in the way that maximizes the yield of the system. Of course, within some risk framework. So it's not like, random shit that gets liquidity. It's rather like, well-known protocols, but, with not that much of liquidity. So it's all constrained by the risk framework. And an example of that is that this Spark Liquidity Layer can basically inject into most of the well-known protocols these days. For example, when there's a spike in yields in Ethena, we can, through Ethena, capture this centralized exchange yields, and we actually do that. When there's actually a Morpho deployment done by Coinbase on Base network, which is prepared for Coinbase BTC users that can very easily take loans through the Coinbase app. And we're actually the biggest liquidity provider there, sitting at I think 70% of the pool, and Sky and Spark is capturing this yield. And what happens with this yield later is this yield is being passed to the SUSDS holders, so for the savings product. So basically, you can think about SUSDS as like the best way to get like a yield on across all the DeFi ecosystem in like a sane, safe manner, because we're not, investing into random crap. Yes. And you can already see that, Spark is one of the sub-DAOs. It's more focused on DeFi. There's another sub-DAO doing Solana stuff. There's another sub-DAO doing real-world asset stuff. There's even one for Bera chain. And basically, you can think that Sky is acting a little bit as a decentralized, centralized bank, which is not doing any commercial retail activities, but rather have these like commercial banks, not a bank, like sub-DAOs that they do have like a retail relationship. And this way, the whole thing, scales better and can reach the customers when where they really are. And of course, SPK, our governance token, is coming soon. I can't tell anything more, but it's there. And yes, you can learn more on spark.fi. And I'm Kris Kaczor. You can find me on Twitter. Thank you. Questions?
Hey everyone. My biggest issue right now is off and on ramping. So most protocols are taking a huge hefty fee. Hopefully there's no one here from MoonPay, but they're like the biggest scammers here. So you want to off ramp $1,000. It's going to cost you they take like $40, $50 in fees, right? And so how do you perceive like the next next generation on and off ramping, right? Because right now that's my biggest issue, right? People are just taking my money and where the fees are going. Who's seeing that?
I guess Ramp is a better protocol to offboard your money. So.
Would you like a professional answer? Like why this is so expensive? Yeah. Okay, so I used to work at Ramp for 5 years. I'm not working there anymore. So like if anybody tells them that I'm saying that, please don't. The majority of the fee is the fact that you're buying a crypto asset, which is priced very heavily by the card providers, such as WorldPay or Stripe. So you need to pay like a risk premium on onboarding the crypto asset. On top of that, you need to pay the fee for KYC checks, which has like a variable price and sometimes require human attention. So that's another bit. The other part is that you're paying for sourcing liquidity, which is stupidly expensive in crypto and it shouldn't be. But if you're asking me what is the best way to for new ways of on-ramping is through stablecoins. So if you go directly to stablecoins, there is a technical way of actually making it direct one-to-one. So if you mint the stables, it's also on ramping. So if you mint your stablecoin and then go to crypto, explore crypto, after that, then it's better.
Yeah, I can give you a concrete example. Like if you go into, for example, our savings product, so you're not holding USDC. You can go back holding USDC without any fees and so on. And with USDC, you can actually, you need to be a business to do that, but I know about people doing it on, using JDG. They just sign up with Circle as a business and they can achieve one-to-one swap, just send Circle back the USDC and you get back fiat money. So basically, if you hold USDC, the peg is very it holds the peg very well. So you can go to any centralized exchange and do that as well. Basically, you need a centralized exchange these days to do it at scale, because these on ramps like Ramp or something else, it's great for smaller amounts of money.
Sorry, this is not my presentation. You go on.
At least this is what I think it is, but I'm sure that Ramp is great. And
Hi, I checked the Spark land. So basically, if I put USDC there, I'm going to mint SUSDC to get this 4% interest rate. And so you're going to internally swap USDC to USDC to USDS, and then from that to USD. So this 5% interest rate you charge, you're giving less is for this fee. Because USDC is 4%, USDS is 4.5%.
So I think there is no way to easily get permissionless yield on top of USDC these days, right? Like you need to pass through KYC and you need to lock your stables, your USDC in something like, Coinbase Earn or something like this.
All of them, they're the same interest rate. It's 4.5. It's 4.5. Okay, and so this US, this 4.5, where you get the interest rate? I know USDE and USDY, where they get their interest rate from, and where this USDS get interest rate.
Yeah, so this is more or less this previous one of the previous slides. Yeah, this one. So basically, there are multiple sources of the yield. It's not like we put everything into treasury bills the way Ondo does, or even Ethina. Even that Ethina used to tokenize mostly the centralized, like this basis trade. These days, they actually inject liquidity into SUSDS because we provide the best yield. And right now, as it's like on the previous side, most of the yield is coming from the crypto lending facilities, right? So basically, we charge, if you want to leverage on your crypto collateral using our system, we charge you more than 4.5%, right? Depending on where you do it, it's like either 5 and something, or it's like 4 and 6, but it's always higher. So this is the source of the most of the yield. And also there's also this fact that the utilization of SUSDS, it's not 100%. Not every holder of USDS is getting the yield. So we have like whole balance sheet providing the revenue for half of the users. So that's why it can be artificially even higher than what you would expect normally. To what? Yeah, the question is SUSDS coming to non-EVM chains? So yes, actually it's available on Solana even right now. And this is what Solana SubDAO is also, spearheading.
Just last one. Your take on Pectra update and how it can affect USDS and its usage and on top of Ethereum.
So it's a great question because we have our front-end team here, and actually we already support Pectra update in our app. So you already can, do this complex multi-transaction transactions in a single transaction right now. So I think it's great, UX upgrade mostly. It also increased blobs, right? I'm honestly not that excited about that, but the UX part is like great. Of course, it's a little bit more complex. Like your wallets needs to support it as well. So you need like deploy your like smart wallet first. But basically, it works already, and like a lot of apps already supports it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so a small shuffle. There's some spaces in front. I have no idea what they're playing. I think it's Call of Duty, but I don't play, so I have no idea. They yell, and I'm too afraid to knock. I think that they might yell at me if I tell them to be quiet. There's some spaces in the front. Come over. And if you still want to get a drink, just grab one of those from me or grab them after. And now we have Bartek. And Bartek, I am sorry because it's Steakhouse Financial and not Stake Finance. Why did you correct me? Sorry for that. Bartek's coming up. Okay, since the setup is gonna take a bit. Anybody wants these? One each. Anybody? Okay. Those are the tokens for the bar. You can exchange them for drinks and tea. Dzień dobry. Tak, to moje. Ktoś jeszcze? Monika, porozdajesz? Co? To też jest moje. I to też jest moje. A chcesz, żebym była twoim klikaczem? To możesz sam klikać. Sam se będziesz klikał. Okay, so Bartek's gonna click for himself.
Slideshow in progress napisane. Resume slideshow? Pytam.
No to coś tam tak, chyba tak, no. Resume.
O.
Hello everyone. Okay, so my name is Bartek. Most of you probably know me already because I've been in this space and in this city for quite a few years. In the city for my life, in the space for I think 8 years. Today I'm speaking to you as one of the chefs at Steakhouse Financial, which actually is an established company in the crypto space because we've been doing work here for a couple of years already. Just a quick word about Steakhouse Financial. I added this slide just a moment ago. We are a team of crypto native collaborators, so basically people that do know what they are doing. We are both technical people, financial experts, so like banking professionals, and also legal experts that do various things across different DAOs. So similarly to Phoenix Labs, which works on Spark for Sky, we do similar work for multiple protocols. Sky, Lido, or Morpho being the largest one with probably like the largest percentage of our time, but also others. Many more. I encourage you to actually learn more about the company as it is quite influential in the space, but operating rather in the shadows. So I'm gonna talk to you not about Steakhouse Financial, but about RWAs. Nice. So what are RWAs? Real-world assets are basically, surprise, surprise, wrapped tokenized claims on off-chain assets that usually are bonds, real estate, private credit, but also stocks or basically anything else that exists in the real world, but we want to bring this value or like its representation on-chain into the decentralized economy that takes place mostly on Ethereum and surrounding layer 2s. Usually RWAs are in the form of ERC20 tokens, which everyone knows, but sometimes they can be something different. And just one word of what RWAs are not. They're not crypto loans. So Kris mentioned basis trade. So and we can also add some loans to crypto market makers. Basically anything that still is facilitated off-chain, but is sort of crypto business related, we do not consider it RWA all that much because it's still very tightly coupled to the whole crypto market. And the actual RWAs grew a lot in the past couple of years. So back then when I thought that RWA space is already pretty big, which was like times like 2021, 2022, and already I had the chance to work on RWA-related projects. I thought they were big, but I wasn't ready for what is happening today. And these past couple of years, we are experiencing a true boom in the RWA space, mostly in the form of the tokenized treasury debt, which is the most popular use case. But when it comes to the TVL, as RWA.xyz shows us, the private credit is leading. And today, because this is the screen from today, we can say that we have $22 billion worth of RWAs on chain, which I think is quite an impressive number. In the past year, the growth was 60% just in a single year. And this year already the growth, I think, surpassed it. And we still have plenty of the year to go. So I think we can expect even more vertical chart as we go in the most upcoming months. So why RWAs matter? Okay, so like they exist, they are growing, but like why would we even care, and why we as crypto professionals or like people interested in blockchain technology would like to care about them? Well, actually, they're a very important step in the development of the whole decentralized finance industry, because first of all, they provide the uncorrelated source of yield. Most of the yield that can be earned on-chain is somehow correlated with the broader crypto market. if the crypto market is booming, prices of crypto assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others are going up. There is more demand for leverage. There is more capacity for leverage because the assets are worth more, and the yields go up. And as people get greedy, they want to borrow more at higher rates, and that drives the whole crypto economy. But then, if we happen to enter the bear market, then the yields, of course, plummet. And of course, not only the rates plummet, but the size of the whole market, because then if the assets are worth less, then there is less capacity for leverage, there is less ability to borrow, less borrowing power in the space, and then the whole economy shrinks. So basically, without RWA, the whole DeFi is just like a crypto casino that represents kind of like a sentiment towards Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is not a sustainable thing to have. Then also RWA gives access to new markets and can be, in the future can help build completely new use cases, which we don't have today, but we might see with the RWA growth. And also helps onboard new users, because not everyone that wants to use financial products on chain maybe is after the crypto casino, but also is after stable products, like Kris mentioned, SUSDS in the Sky, provided by the Sky ecosystem, is a savings product that just gives a stable yield on top of USDS or USDC. And this is something completely different from just the leverage trade and the kind of gambling situation that is happening in crypto normally. And then also RWAs bring compliance and mainstream integration, which is very important because RWAs and investment banking professionals, legal experts, and these people that are coming into the space with integrations of RWAs also bring their expertise and can help also this kind of more degen side of crypto look slightly more serious and slightly more appealing to everyone that would not enter the space without this kind of certificate of or like check mark of these like professionals being in that market already. But RWAs matter not only for DeFi, they do matter for the traditional finance as well, because this is the next step for them into the digitalization and automation. Like every industry needs to grow, needs to modernize, needs to change. And I firmly believe, and I think you believe also, that blockchain technology is far superior to any other technology that we have and that is underlying the financial systems today. So it is just better technical rails for the financial system to operate even outside of the whole decentralization discussion. Then this is also a 24/7 open market, unlike the traditional markets, which work only in the office hours, which work only on the working days. This is far more reactive and far more fast-paced environment, which also is just far more efficient. And because being more efficient can give in result access to far larger liquidity, and over time will just grow to a bigger size than the financial markets that we have today. So if it all sounds that good, who is building this? So like we need RWAs on chain. We do have RWAs on chain because we saw the growth. So what are some of the projects that are doing this already? Some notable mentions here. First of all, Sky, which is a pioneer in the RWA space and one of the most important actors, but also other protocols that help make that happen or used to make that happen in the past and played some role in the whole RWA system growth. So Centrifuge, Ondo Superstate, mostly these days working on collateralizing the actual real-world assets, which are in the largest TVLs today, treasury bills, so bonds. But not only, Centrifuge is doing some very interesting work with some traditional institutions that I think will help in the future bring far more interesting assets on chain. Maple and TrueFi were also kind of pioneers, but these days what they do is not strictly RWA related according to the definition that I set, but I had to mention them kind of as the as an honorable mentions. And what's interesting on the other side, where we do not have strictly degen crypto startups, we can put some very serious names that are doing some serious work within the RWA space. So, for example, BlackRock and its Beetle fund, which tokenizes treasury bills, I think recently surpassed over 3 billion in TVL across all chain. So $3 billion worth of assets on public blockchains introduced by BlackRock, one of the largest asset managers in the world, or if not the single largest asset manager in the world. I think that people heavily underestimate the weight of that, and need to pay more attention, so to speak. Visa and MasterCard launching some pilot programs on public blockchains as well. PayPal launching PyUSD. Again, a stable coin that helps them play around and kind of wet their feet in the ecosystem. And Janus Henderson, which is very traditional, very legacy asset managing corporation, but these days works with Centrifuge and actually manages over 300 million on chain in JTRSY tokenized treasury bills fund, which I think is super interesting, and I'm really excited to see names like that do stuff on public blockchain of Ethereum. So what Sky does in RWA space? First of all, it pioneered with RWA usage as collateral, as Kris mentioned. Back in the days, the only collateral in the formerly Maker, but these days Sky ecosystem was crypto. But in order to grow the monetary base of USDS now and DAI earlier, we had to, like, the ecosystem had to expand. So RWA was used as a collateral for its stablecoin. And back then there were some tokenized bills in some more primitive form used, which happened quite a few years ago already. And also Sky led pilots with some banks. So banks, Huntington Valley Bank and one of the French banks, which I'm not gonna attempt to read that correctly, were allowed to borrow from Sky, from Maker, using their their investment portfolio as collateral. So that was also something pretty interesting. And these days, Sky is a heavy user of Coinbase Prime Custody, which is also another wrapper around the treasury bills. Then, where Sky is heading these days is a great tokenization Grand Prix that Sky announced recently, and that resulted in some pretty interesting protocols signing up for the cooperation with Sky. And initially, so these numbers are gonna grow and are growing, but initially $1 billion of USDS from Sky were assigned to these 3 protocols to allocate. So I think these are pretty serious numbers, and pretty exciting to see that happen and see this number grow even further in the future. And what's for Sky in all this? Again, as I said before, the same rules apply. Sky gains growth outside of crypto, gains diversified source of yield, so no need to always follow the sentiment of the crypto market, diversified collateral, and probably more stable base, monetary base that the Sky will have, and also legitimacy, because with onboardings of RWA, there's a lot of legal work happening that makes Sky more of a big boy adult business rather than just like a funny crypto thingy that is just somewhere there in the fairy tale of the degen world. To investigate more, I invite you to check out info.sky.money or app.rwa.xyz, which are 2 very interesting information sources. Info.sky.money, of course, about the Sky ecosystem. You can learn there about the exact composition of the collateral in Sky, about the exact allocations of assets, and about the revenue that is being sourced from all the assets that are underlying USDS. I think this could be a pretty interesting thing to research, and RWA.xyz just for the RWA stuff. And at the end of my presentation, one small mention. So me as a member of Steakhouse Financial, I'm very happy to sort of pre-announce a new star that is going to be rising in the Sky ecosystem. So we have Spark, which is already a pretty renowned and one of the largest allocators in the Sky ecosystem. But there is going to be a next one, and it's going to be mainly RWA focused. These like on this presentation, mainly when I was mentioning RWA, it might have sounded a little monotonous that there are so many different RWAs, and then what kind of RWAs? Yeah, treasury bills. And what are these guys doing? Yeah, different things, treasury bills. So it's not going to be only treasury bills. This is the time when the real and actually diversified RWA is gonna shine, and Sky again is going to be a pioneer that's going to lead that, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. And if you also want to be a part of that and want to help bring billions of dollars, literal, of real world assets on chain into the Sky ecosystem, let's talk. We have some needs. Of course, I'm not speaking on behalf of the DAO itself, because everyone can contribute to the DAO, but yeah, we'll be helping to foster the new subDAO, and we can help you help the subDAO grow. Thank you again, and if you have any questions, just ask.
In this new subDAO, will you be bringing in like precious metals, oils, and those kind of real-world assets into the blockchain space?
Potentially, but I cannot really answer that question just yet. I hope I didn't disappoint you with that answer. This is a very early pre-announcement, so no details to be shared just yet, unfortunately. Okay.
Another applause for another Sky. The potential for memes with the Sky rebrand is that you have a spark in the sky. You're gonna have new stars and all of that. Who came up with that name? Okay, thank you so much. And we're gonna have one more presentation, and then we're gonna have a short round of lightning talks. And now we have Pawel from Chronicle, also from ETHWarsaw. So, you know. Pawel, do you want my help, or you can?
Let's see how that works. I just connected. Right, number one, number two. That's great. Does this work? Yeah, nice. So hi. I'm Pawel. I'm part of Chronicle, and I'm also part of ETHWarsaw, and I've started even in Maker a few years ago. So I'm an engineer, and that's what I do, and there's not going to be much financial talks here. So Chronicle builds oracles. What are oracles, you might ask? So this is the most important part of DeFi, the oracles, actually, at least for now. Oracles turn gossip into fact. So what is unreliable information, we turn into reliable information that is verified, and that is also important. I'm going to speak more about it later, about that verification, but this is the most important part. Like, we turn stuff that is unverified into actual facts. And we are making it offline, available online, on-chain. And this is also one of the important aspects of doing an oracle. Any pool oracle that you might hear that has some prices is actually bullshit. So don't believe anyone that says oracles don't have to be on chain. Yes, they do. And they do have to be on the same chain that your project is on, because otherwise you are risking quite a lot with data availability problems. So external data available to smart contracts exactly during the execution. That's the important part. Why are oracles? So there is no DeFi without oracles. That's the main part. And how the oracles are built, that's the exciting part, because I like being an engineer and having done that for more than 5 years right now. Like it's still quite exciting. So this is the longest I've been in a single project. So this maybe says something. So Oracle systems collect data from different sources, usually off-chain, but also on-chain. They sign and verify that this data is correct and store it on-chain. And the first iteration of Chronicle oracles, which was then actually MakerDAO, like a part of MakerDAO, and it was even like in 2017 that like the first oracle was built, was we had multiple validators, as we call them, and they were storing their price on chain, and the price was then calculated, a median price was then calculated on chain, which of course you might see that it is expensive, because you would need, for like in our case, you would need 13 distinct signatures that needed to be verified, and 13 distinct transactions. So everyone would have to pay, and it would have to happen quite often. So it's like unsustainable when it comes to gas cost. And then the Oracle's V2 was born, where all of the signing happened off-chain, and it was sent to a peer-to-peer network where the median was calculated and sent on-chain, but of course, still, it can always be verified on-chain, but you don't need to do multiple transactions to store this value, because you just can store the payload in one transaction. And that was somewhat of a gas savior. And Oracle's V3 is something that we have developed. It's called Chronicle Scribe, and it uses Schnorr signature aggregation. This is some magic Bitcoin math and crypto stuff that is like smarter people than me do that, like implement the contracts for that. But this allows us to have the payload be even smaller. So we optimize call data size, and for optimistic updates that we do, I'll talk about them a little bit later, we optimize compute cycles. So on Ethereum, it gets like super cheap, because instead of verifying 13 signatures, so 13 EC recovers, which is the most expensive in this transaction, we just verify one. And there's a challenge period and challenge bounty. That means that for the 10 minutes, the price is not finalized, anyone can challenge, and every oracle in Chronicle has a bounty of 1 Ether per challenge. So if you manage to catch a transaction that is sent optimistically, like optimistic rollups, like there's a period. So if the transaction sent optimistically doesn't compute when you calculate the actual verification, then you can spot it, you can send a challenge and win 1 ETH. So where are the oracles? Of course, this is our dashboard if you want to scan the QR code. And of course, I am showing QR codes, but actually it's interesting because QR codes are not quite safe for people, because if you scan them, it gets you to a scammy site, and then, yeah, that's a problem. But I do hope no one hacked it and it is the correct address. So it is quite important to remember that your oracles can only be as strong as the weakest link. I'm not going to comment on the colors, but you get the gist. We use 13 signatures. Other oracle providers use 4 or 3, and even then you don't know who that actually is. So strong is the better choice. Know your oracles. That's super important. You need to know your oracles, or be another article on Rect. if you are implementing a protocol that requires oracles and you don't know all of the assumptions that come with the particular oracle provider or oracle model, then you are actually endangering your protocol and your clients and everything in between, actually. So the properties of oracles. Accuracy. You always need to ask yourself, and before using a specific oracle provider, where does this data come from? How many independent sources are there, and how was everything calculated? And another question is, can one source actually affect the whole price? Because, for example, median has a nice property that it actually cuts out outliers. If you have a number, like a set of numbers, and you just pick the one in the middle, do not do the average, but you just pick the one in the middle, then if someone says that the price is 5 when it's 10, then it's actually, it's getting ignored. And how is this integrity preserved? Usually cryptographic security is needed for that. So if someone vouches and signs for it, then that this is secure. But if you are just if your protocol just assumes, okay, this must be fine, no, it's not gonna be fine. Consensus. How is the truth determined? So I mentioned before that we are using 13 validators. So we need 13 validators out of 25 to agree on a specific price, to even consider it being eligible to send on chain. So if you have 2, if you have 3, and you don't know who they are, because in Chronicle the validators are actually reputable projects like Gitcoin, like Etherscan, and some other big projects. Of course, MakerDAO is also one of the validators in Chronicle. So if you know who those projects are, they are actually staking their reputation. And if they do something bad, like send a bad price, and they get caught with their pants down, then the project is actually at risk of a lot of damage. The reputation in crypto is, even though it is a permissionless and trustless system and trustless like area, it actually, the reputation is quite important. So availability. Also, I said that pool oracles is something where you don't send the price on chain until you need it. But the question is, will it be available when you need it? So if the prices are not sent on chain constantly for any contract to be able to read it without any intermediaries, without bridging, without, I don't know, like whatever else one could think of, then if it's not just a read function on a contract with a current state, it's actually shit. Like it, of course, you can say, oh, this blockchain that holds this data and that is cheap has never gone down. That's what the black swan events are, and they do happen. And some blockchain can go down, and then what? No one can do anything because it's all locked. Of course, if it's not locked, then there's another thing that you need to worry about. Is like, why is it not locked? Why can someone manipulate the price without an oracle? So these are all of the things you need to look out for and check before actually implementing an oracle provider. Cost. What's the price for the users? Again, pool oracles are tax for the users. We are not in this space because we like taxes. It's the opposite, actually. Like, taxes for the users is the worst thing a protocol can do, because how that works is when a user wants to do a transaction, like, I don't know, get some collateral or stake something or do whatever, and needs an oracle price, and if it's a pool oracle, then they also need to do oracle update. So the protocol, the oracle provider says, okay, we don't pay for that. It's very cheap because we don't pay. It's zero. No, it's not zero. It's the users who are paying. So adding a tax to your users is not a good thing, especially in crypto. Also, how does everything scale, you might ask? So with the optimistic updates, we can go from 13 to 256 or 1024 or other round digital numbers. Digital numbers, that's not a word. Anyway, other round numbers for IT people. We could go up and up and up, and still the price of sending an update is only one EC recover. Of course, the verification is more expensive, but still, like, we are infinitely scalable at Chronicle, and this is a cool property. Transparency. Who are the validators and the reputation? I talked about that, but that's super important. That's why it's here again. Permissions. Who can change parameters? Usually it's best that it's a DAO or like something that is very transparent to update the parameters of an oracle. And the other question is who can update? In Chronicle, it's permissionless. As long as you get your hands on the signature, and it's public because it's in a peer-to-peer network, so it's public and everyone can read it. So as long as you get your hands on the signature, you can do an update. Of course, you have to pay for the gas, sure, but we are not blocking anyone from doing a transaction. You don't have to be allowed to update the transaction, provided that you have the signatures. And whenever you are verifying a protocol or a oracle provider, you always need to look at the probability and impact. So how probable is this problem or like this issue, that how probable is it that it's going to happen, and what's the impact? So if it's something very probable but the impact is minuscule, then maybe it's not that bad. Of course, every time you need to calculate this risk for on your own, and yeah, it's just a risk calculation at this point. So do not trust, verify. That's the phrase I would like to leave you with, because this is the main reason people get scammed. They trust that, okay, should be fine, but should be fine hasn't worked good for many people. So I am Pawel from Chronicle, and I am also from ETHWarsaw, and this is chroniclelabs.org, and I welcome you to visit the site. Thank you. Questions?
Just a short question about, like, I talked with some of your team members maybe half a year ago and asked about, you know, real random values. Do you have a plan to provide it maybe later, once?
Maybe someday, but right now, no. Like we are focused on two things right now. DeFi is something we know very well and we do very well, and there's actually very few competitors. And if you, of course, you could count the TVL, but actually there's few competitors when you could, so they could compare the security and verifiability and reliability of Chronicle. But of course, real world assets is something that we are also doing and testing and going with in the future. So random values, as I said, not necessarily. Sometimes, or the signatures, or the signatures, but like that's another story. Any more questions? No, thank you. So this was really nice.
One more talk, and then we get pizza. While they set up a few things, ETHWarsaw is happening this year again. It's from 4th to 7th September. Speaker applications are open. If you want to volunteer or join the team, this is open as well. Ticket sales will go out soonish. I don't know exactly when, but soonish. That's one bit. We also have a pop available for the meetup, and Monica can help you mint it.
Yeah, basically you need a POAP home app, and then you scan the location and you can mint your POAP.
There's a POAP. We have a pub. And I'm not supposed to say this, but ETHWarsaw was probably going to be doing a co-working space. So if you're looking for a crypto-focused space to work in Warsaw, message me somewhere on like Telegram, whatever. Just let me know, and I will add you to the group that is doing the test run, and I can tell you the details. Ready? Cool. So we have a very annoying lightning talk right now.
Yes, very sorry about that. Hi, I'm Piotr. So in 5 minutes, you're gonna be eating pizza and drink beer. So don't worry, that's gonna be super quick. I'm co-founder of StableWatch, and the handsome guy in the glasses is my co-founder. It's Jacek. Just today, we launched our new dashboard. So what you can see here is new metric, YPO, yield paid out, which is specific to yield-bearing assets. So at the beginning of all of this meetup, Kris told you a little bit about yield-bearing assets, right? So you got those stable coins, which act a little bit like a saving account in your bank. At the moment, any dashboards you see out there, so RWA XYZ, which you could see in here, DeFi Llama or whatever, are not looking in this segment. So this is the first dashboard. You can actually check any data around those specific coins. So yield paid out is providing you the value which been distributed to the holders of those coins. And as you can see, in all time of those coins, there's more than $500 million distributed to the holders. And this value is growing. If you're gonna go down on our website, there's much more analytics, and much more is coming soon, because we believe there are two types of stable coins: the payment ones like USDC, USDT, and the yield-bearing ones. We can't look at them as the same category. We can't put them in the same bracket. The regulators are already looking at them in a different ways, both in EU and in the US. What is lacking beside this basic analytics is also categorization for those, because actually, even if we call those yield-bearing stablecoins, most of those assets are not stablecoins. They call themselves like that to do regulatory arbitrage because they are structured products, like hedge fund, for example, Ethina is such. Or private treasury funds, which are providing you exposure to T-bills, etc. So we need this categorization, and we are working on that. The second thing, which you as a user got no idea about, is a risk assessment or like risk framework you could look at. So you don't know in a lot of examples what is happening within treasury of those assets, besides Sky and few others. So you can't take informed decisions when it comes to allocating your portfolio. And all of that is coming soon to StableWatch. We launch just today, so much more stuff gonna be announced soon. The next very big announcement gonna be at Stablecoin in New York end of this month, so stay tuned. And in a month, we grew from 2 people to 10. We're still hiring, so if you're a researcher, marketer, developer, you can hit me up after that. And that's it. Please go to our website, check around, and we would love to welcome any of your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's it. That's all for today. I still have some, and the pizza's in there, and it's gonna come in here in a second. Thank you very much for coming to another ETHWarsaw meetup. We're gonna see you in, I think, 3 weeks. Oh, and we have lots of Spark swag. So Krzysiu, if you want to, and Sky swag. So if you want to grab something, or Krzysiu, you can stand here and throw things at people. It's like concert style. Oh, that's it. See you next time.